At this moment Yi Xian felt his body burning. The power of the dragon blood. This well contained almost all the dragon blood of the Jia dragon horde. This dragon blood was so powerful that ordinary Dao defense realm cultivators would immediately be reduced to ashes if they entered. Only Yi Xian's Daoist physique could withstand the power of so much dragon blood. If it was an ordinary person, they would probably be burned to ashes the moment they came into contact with the dragon blood. At this moment, the blood in Yi Xian's body suddenly surged. Boom. In an instant Yi Xian began to absorb the dragon blood around him. He was devouring. The old man watched quietly from the side. He did not stop him, and his expression was calm as if he had already expected this. Beside the old man, Jialo was still quietly licking his candied fruit, not saying a word. Meanwhile, the old man suddenly grabbed Jialo's hand and spoke softly, "Little girl, follow him later, all right?" Jialo shook her head. The old man looked at Jialo and smiled, "Little girl, you're the last hope of the dragon horde. Grandpa didn't want you to carry this burden, but you have no choice. Look at the dragon horde. 136 dragons were skinned and their tendons skinned. We living dragons can't forget this blood feud. Grandpa isn't capable enough to avenge our clansmen. Only you can avenge them." Jialo remained silent. The old man looked at the well and spoke softly, "You must follow him. Only by following him will you have a chance to avenge the dragon horde. Besides that, little girl, it's time for you to go out and see the outside world." Jialo still remained silent. The old man looked at Yi Xian in the well. This person has the disaster seed and has cultivated a Dao body. He's not simple, especially his bloodline power. His bloodline power is even stronger than our Jia dragon tribes. I have to say that it's terrifying for a human's bloodline to reach such a level. However, because of the disaster seed, his troubles may be endless. Little girl, you must be careful when you follow him. Just because he's tough doesn't mean the lives of those around him are tough. Jialo still remained silent. The old man looked at Jialo with a complicated expression. "Little girl, if you can take revenge in the future, do so. If you can't, then don't. Remember, staying alive is the most important thing. You must live well." Jialo looked at the old man. "Let's go together." The old man smiled and was about to speak when the well in the distance suddenly exploded and Yi Xian floated out. At that moment Yi Xian's body exuded an extremely powerful aura. His body was red as if it was condensed from fresh blood. Dragon blood. He had absorbed all the dragon blood. Now his Dao body had reached the Dao Imperial realm. Yi Xian opened his eyes and clenched his fists. In an instant the space around him split apart. A trace of excitement flashed in Yi Xian's eyes. After he had devoured the dragon blood, his Dao body had not only reached the Dao Imperial realm, but he had also obtained the bloodline power of the dragon tribe. The characteristic of the bloodline power of the dragon tribe was power. Unparalleled power. He could now easily kill a Dao Imperial realm expert with the power of his physical body. With the strength of his current physical body, he would not be afraid even if he faced experts at the level of Zhen Wu and White Robe. He could go head-on against experts at the level of White Robe and Zhen Wu. The improvement this time was far too great. Yi Xian withdrew his thoughts and looked at the old man in the distance. He cupped his fists and said, "Thank you." The old man smiled and said, "Congratulations, young friend." Yi Xian spoke in a low voice, "Senior, was this heaven abyss once the territory of the dragon tribe?" The old man nodded. This place used to be the territory of the dragon tribe. Later on, a great battle occurred here, so it became an abyss. The mineral veins in this abyss all belong to the dragon tribe. Yi Xian spoke softly, "I see." Meanwhile, the old man withdrew a spatial ring. This spatial ring contains all the treasures and mineral veins of the dragon tribe. It can be said that all the wealth of the dragon tribe is in here. "Now I'll give it to you." However, Yi Xian did not take it. The old man smiled, "Young friend, are you going back on your word?" Yi Xian spoke in a low voice, "Senior, aren't you afraid of entrusting it to the wrong person?" The old man roared with laughter, "Young friend, I believe in your character." Yi Xian shook his head and smiled, "To be honest, even I don't really believe in my character." The old man smiled, "Young friend, I'll be honest with you as well. Besides you, I have no one else to choose from." Yi Xian fell silent. The old man looked at Jia Lu who was beside him. "Young friend, this granddaughter of mine has been here for too long and is slightly introverted. However, her nature is not bad. After she leaves with you, I hope you treat her well." Yi Xian glanced at Jia Lu. "Don't worry, senior. I, Yi Xian, will take good care of Miss Jia Lu after I've benefited from you." The old man spoke softly. "This old man can rest assured." As he spoke, he spread open his hands. In an instant his body started to crack inch by inch. At the same time, an extremely overbearing aura suddenly appeared on the mountain peak. In next to no time, an enormous dragon that was over 100 kilometers long appeared on the mountain peak. In front of this enormous dragon, the mountain beneath Yi Xian's feet was like a speck of dust. Yi Xian was shocked. He had never seen such an enormous dragon before. Compared to this dragon, the so-called true dragons in the past were like earthworms. At this moment, the enormous dragon suddenly raised its head and roared angrily. In an instant, the entire celestial abyss shook violently. Chapter 1392. As soon as she said this, the golden word in front of Yi Xian and Jialo stopped moving. Yi Xian was stunned. The woman in the plain dress continued to walk into the distance. At this moment, a voice resounded from the starry sky behind her. "Who are you?" In the distance, the woman in the plain dress didn't even turn around. "Someone you can't afford to offend. Someone you can't afford to offend." The starry sky suddenly became quiet. Heaven, abyss, dark world. The golden word in front of Yi Xian suddenly became illusory, and then it gradually disappeared completely. Yi Xian and Jialo were stunned. "Gone?" Yi Xian lifted his head to take a look. He said softly, "Is that you, Qinger?" There was no response. Yi Xian was silent for a moment, and then he left with Jialo. Jialo didn't speak along the way. Yi Xian glanced at Jialo and said, "Miss Jialo, why don't you come to my tower first?" Jialo nodded and disappeared on the spot. Yi Xian looked around. He had to admit that he had gained a lot this time. Very much. The treasures he had obtained from the Naga Dragon clan were enough to change the fate of the entire fifth dimension. Truly change the fate of the fifth dimension. There were a total of 36 top-grade mineral veins in the spatial ring the old man had given him. In addition to the ones he had obtained before, he now had a total of 40 top-grade mineral veins. And he had tens of millions of divine fortune crystals. Tens of millions? What did that mean? It could be said that the total wealth of the Doubting and the Dao Tomb couldn't compare to Yi Xian. With these divine fortune crystals, he could cultivate a large number of Dao-proving realm experts, and even Dao-controlling realm experts. Of course, what he needed the most now was time. The complete rise of the fifth dimension was only a matter of time. Apart from that, he had also gained a lot this time. He now had over 100,000 energy swords, and all of them were condensed from turbid qi. Even an ordinary Dao defense realm expert would find it difficult to resist the turbid qi. This was the gift he had prepared for the Doubting. Of course, the biggest gain was the improvement of his Taoist body. With his current body, he could fight against a top expert like true martial god. It could be said that if it was a one-on-one battle, the only ones who could pose a fatal threat to him were experts of the Dao realm. In addition, he had also obtained the treasures of the Naga dragons. The treasures of the dragon clan were truly terrifying. In short, the harvest this time was bountiful. Of course, he didn't get too excited. Now, he had to face a problem, and that was how to explain everything that had happened in the dark world. However, this was not a problem for him. After a while, Yi Xian left the black vortex. As soon as he appeared outside the vortex, Rahu and the others appeared in front of him. Luo Ho glanced at Yi Xian. "Let's talk somewhere else." "Because of my position, I can't help you anymore. Take care." After saying that, her figure trembled and disappeared. In the same place, Yi Xian was silent. At this moment, a phantom suddenly appeared not far from Yi Xian. The phantom gradually solidified. It was a black-robed man. Yi Xian flicked his finger and a token appeared in front of the black-robed man. This black-robed man was none other than the mysterious person who had given him the ice coffin. The mysterious person looked at Yi Xian. "I'll help you once." Yi Xian smiled. "Senior, can you beat a Dao Attainment Realm expert?" The mysterious person shook his head. "I can't, but I can barely hold up a Dao Attainment Realm expert." Yi Xian nodded. "That's enough." After saying that, he pulled Nian Nian away. In the same place, the mysterious person was silent for a long time before saying softly, "Doubting? Are you really going to bully his son? How dare you?" After saying that, he disappeared without a sound. At the end of the distance, Nian Nian held Yi Xian's hand tightly. "Is someone coming to beat us up?" Yi Xian smiled. "Yes. Are you afraid?" Nian Nian looked at Yi Xian and asked, "Are you afraid?" Yi Xian blinked. "A little." Nian Nian hesitated for a moment before saying, "Then I'm a little afraid too." Yi Xian laughed. After a moment, Nian Nian said again, "Are they going to beat me up?" Yi Xian nodded. "Yes." Nian Nian said, will you protect me? Yi Xian said, yes. Nian Nian said, what if you can't beat them? Yi Xian said, what do you think I should do? Nian Nian said, if you hand me over, will they stop beating you up? Yi Xian said, no, their goal is to kill you and then kill me. After a long time, Nian Nian said again, why are you protecting me? Yi Xian said, there's no reason. I just want to protect you. Nian Nian said softly, but there should be a reason for everything. Yi Xian said, because I like you so I'm protecting you. Is that a good reason? Nian Nian stopped in her tracks. She looked at Yi Xian and asked seriously, do you really like me? Yi Xian nodded. Nian Nian asked again, why? Yi Xian was speechless. Nian Nian said, why do you like me? There must be a reason. Yi Xian asked, why do you like eating fish? Nian Nian said, if you like it then eat it. There's no reason. Yi Xian smiled and said, I like you like fish. If I like you then I like you. There's no reason. Nian Nian said, but I'm not a fish. After a moment of silence, Yi Xian said, why don't we change the topic? Nian Nian said, all right. Yi Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Nian Nian said, what do you like about me? Yi Xian said, I like everything. Nian Nian said, why do you like everything? I like eating fish but I don't like fish bones. There must be something about me that you don't like. Yi Xian fell silent. Nian Nian said, why? Yi Xian said, I don't like it when you lie to me. Nian Nian blinked. Have I ever lied to you? Yi Xian nodded. Yi Xian said, the battlefield cannot be in the fifth dimension. Guanyin nodded. If the battlefield was in the fifth dimension, once a fight broke out, regardless of whether the fifth dimension won or lost, it would still suffer heavy losses. Guanyin said in a deep voice, but their goal is not only to kill Miss Nian, but also to destroy the fifth dimension. Yi Xian was silent. The current doubting must have learned to be smart. Killing Sister Nian was not enough. If they wanted to get rid of future troubles, they had to destroy the entire fifth dimension. As long as the entire fifth dimension was destroyed, there would be no possibility of Sister Nian being reborn. At this time, Guanyin said softly, it would be great if Miss Nian could regain her memory. The current fifth dimension no longer needed Mu Nian to suppress it. Once Mu Nian regained her memory, doubting and the Dao Tomb would be like ants to her. Therefore, doubting would definitely destroy the fifth dimension. But would Sister Nian regain her memory? Yi Xian glanced at Nian Nian next to him. He was not sure either. Sister Nian had really forgotten everything in the past. As for when she would regain her memory, no one knew. Yi Xian was silent for a moment before smiling. It's okay, I'll take care of it this time. Guanyin looked at Yi Xian. Can you take care of it? Yi Xian smiled. Don't we still have you? Guanyin was stunned for a moment before smiling. Let's take care of it together. Yi Xian said, have Jiao and Arrow come out of seclusion? Guanyin said in a low voice, soon. Yi Xian nodded. That's good. After explaining some matters to Guanyin, Guanyin left. Yi Xian continued to roast fish, but his thoughts had already drifted away. Doubting had two Dao realm experts. One was a Dao ancestor, and the other had disappeared for many years. Even the Dao Tomb did not know who he was. And now, the only ones who could kill Yi Xian single-handedly were powerhouses at the Dao attainment realm. If he used the power of his bloodline, he might be able to fight a Dao realm expert head-on. It should be a 3 to 7 chance. But if doubting and two Dao realm experts attacked together, he would not stand a chance. Two Dao realm experts were definitely not people he could fight against at the moment. After all, only his physical body had reached the Dao Imperial realm. His realm had not reached the Dao Imperial realm. Fighting one Dao realm expert would be difficult, let alone two. Apart from the experts of the Dao realm, if Zhen Wu and the white-robed experts ganged up on him, he would not have much confidence in winning. These two people were infinitely close to the Dao realm. This time, doubting would definitely not give him a chance. They would definitely choose to gang up on him. And now, there were basically no other people in the fifth dimension, especially Dao Imperial realm experts. Doubting Divine Lords, however, had a total of 76. What did this mean? Back when Yi Xian had just gone to Celestial Abyss, Yi Xian was not his match. But now Yi Xian's strength was no weaker than his in white robes. Yi Xian's growth was really too fast. Boom. At this moment, an explosion suddenly sounded. Under everyone's gaze, White Robe was forced back nearly 100 feet by Yi Xian's sword. White Robe had just stopped when he suddenly soared into the sky. The next moment, he held the silver spear in his hand and threw it at Yi Xian. The spear was like a raging dragon emerging from the sea, piercing through heaven and earth. Below, Yi Xian's expression was calm. Before the spear reached him, the space around him was already distorted. The momentum of the spear was too strong. When the spear arrived above Yi Xian suddenly transformed into a ray of light that shot into the sky. Bang! A world-shaking explosion suddenly resounded, and then the space in an area of over 100 kilometers cracked apart. In midair, Yi Xian held his sword firmly against the spear. The energy within the spear hadn't vanished completely. The glow on Yi Xian's sword was growing dimmer and dimmer. Right at this moment, white robes suddenly appeared in the sky above the spear, and then he stomped his right foot against the tip of the spear. Bang! Yi Xian descended straight down from midair while the tip of the spear was constantly pressing against the tip of Yi Xian's sword. So, white robe's energy was ceaselessly suppressing Yi Xian. Right at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly stomped his right foot against the ground. In the next moment, the sword domain suddenly appeared here. At the same time, he swiftly slashed his sword forward. Bang! Yi Xian stopped. In the next moment, white robe retreated explosively by 300 m. After white robe stopped, he gazed at Yi Xian with eyes that were filled with battle intent. Fight! Yi Xian's eyes were filled with battle intent as well. Since he'd absorbed the dragon's blood and cultivated his body into the Tao body, he'd rarely fought. But now he wanted to fight to his heart's content. Yi Xian walked towards white robe with his sword in hand. His blood started to surge within him. However, he didn't release the energy of his bloodline. Not only did he not release the energy of his bloodline, he didn't even expose his Tao body. White robe gazed at Yi Xian from afar while he held the silver spear tightly in his right hand. The silver spear in his hand started to tremble violently, and a monstrous aura enveloped the surroundings. The aura of the spear was overwhelming. Right at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly vanished on the spot. White robe's face was expressionless as he suddenly stabbed the spear in his right hand forward. Bang! A ray of sword light was forced to stop by this spear strike. The space around white robe and Yi Xian transformed into nothingness at this moment, whereas white robe and Yi Xian separated from each other at this moment, and both of them retreated explosively by over 1 kilometer.